I wanted to share a bit about why I was gone for a week in early March. If you read the Friday update, you will know that I applied for the collegiate cohort through the Forum for Theological Exploration and then promptly forgot I had applied for it. So I was delighted to receive an email and surprised that said, "Congratulations, you've been admitted to the collegiate cohort for the Discernment Labs." So the Forum for Theological Exploration, if you're unfamiliar, is a leadership incubator. And so they support an ecumenical broad group of denominations, and they do all sorts of things both for young adults and for folks who work with young adults that are in discernment. And this doesn't necessarily mean discernment specifically for ministry, although that is certainly something they do. And they also work with theological institutions of higher education and theological educators. So I was accepted into an 18-month cohort for campus ministry leaders that serve in similar contexts, but some of the folks were also the dean of students at their chapel if they are with a religiously affiliated university. So I'll point him out in the picture, but the dean of the chapel from Earlham College, which is right over in Richmond, Indiana, is part of this cohort. He's lovely. He's Episcopalian, and I did look it up. It is faster for me to get to Richmond, Indiana to hang out with him than it is to get to my apartment from here. So we probably will be collaborating. And so before we get too much further, let's just define what discernment is. What are we talking about? Discernment is an iterative process in which people, such as communities, teams, and organizations, in conversation with a community and the sacred, determine what action is required for them to take their most faithful next step toward a life of meaning and purpose. And so again, this can mean discernment if you're discerning ministry or seminary, but it can also simply mean, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do after graduation? What am I going to do with my summer internship opportunity? So as promised, I'll point him out. Demarius is in the top middle, the gentleman with the glasses, but this is my cohort. So these are my best new campus ministry friends from across the US. And again, some of them are in more similar contexts to where we are, Wesley Foundations or other affiliated groups. This gentleman down in the yellow with the A, he's the Wesley Foundation Director for Appalachia State. So he's a fellow Methodist. Carolyn here is also a fellow Methodist. And then everyone else is, I think those were the only Methodists in the group, but lots of, and then Eli here in the beard and glasses is also in Ohio. He's up in Bluffton. So we're from a little bit of everywhere. Can somebody help pass out my first name now? Thanks, Katie. So we're going to start with the discernment disciplines. These are FTE's disciplines. Just so you know, these discernment labs are relatively new. FTE just instituted these discernment labs in 2023, so we're pretty on the front end of this. And they worked with an outside organization to help look at what they were already doing and then do some reformulation and updating of their programs. So for those of you who are Oxford United Methodist Church members, or as I like to say, the adultier adults in the room, because our students for Wesley are adults, we're going to be focusing on the outer circle, the design and the collaborate levels. That's really where I see Oxford United Methodist Church, the leadership team of the church, our volunteers, our cook teams, those who participated in the peer ministry training program, where you'll jump in. And then for our Wesley student leaders and Wesley students, we're focusing more on that middle section, the presence, the belonging, the meaning making, and the imagine piece. And all of that works together. Our outer supporters, and those are helping design and collaborate with me as the staff person on what do we as a church want our youth and young adult ministries to look like. And then Wesley leaders, you're really helping with Wesley in particular, cultivate the presence and belonging and meaning making and imagining what Wesley looks like on campus. And then the center, discern, is what we're hoping the outcome will be of our collective efforts to help students who engage with Wesley and the youth group and other young adult programs will be able to do. So, a discipline from the Latin disciplinia at its root means to learn. It has to do with how we think, interact, and learn with others and inhabit what we are called to be and do. FTE's discernment disciplines offer an approach to group discernment, such as you might learn subject matter as math, English, and history. The disciplines are broad categories for different sets of practices, knowledge, and techniques necessary to accomplish the aims of each discipline. And then one step further, a practice from the Latin practico at its root means to do routinely. And I think if I asked you all to think, what do we do routinely? Like, you're already doing one, right? Like, we eat lunch together routinely. Means to do routinely in a community. A practice is something you do with others over time to address a particular need. And there is a standard by which communities measure what and how they practice. FDE recognizes that practices are contextual. A Christian practice or a practice in a particular Christian context is often ecclesially named and defined. Sometimes we forget that many of us are practicing similar things, but often by different names in different Christian contexts. While naming our practice is important, what's more essential is understanding the concrete need the practice addresses and to what end. So FTE's aim is to help practitioners, such as those of us in campus ministry, become more articulate about our own practices, knowledge, and techniques necessary to accomplish the goal of discernment and its disciplines. So I'm going to say this throughout, but thank you all so much for allowing me the time to go away, to really invest in my own discernment and prayer and retreating and learning, because I hope it will be of great benefit bringing it back to all of you and working together. Because this is something that I try to be really good at because I want to lead by example. Not always perfect at that. So if you've been around Wesley any amount of time, you know that what I call our core pillars are authentic community, faithful exploration, and radical love. And so the great news about this is that I think we already have a great structure, at least for Wesley, and we can have some more conversation as a church about how we want to invest in the youth group. But for Wesley, we already have this great structure that we can then implement the discernment framework into. I think this is going to really help us strengthen our program without us having to reinvent the wheel. It's not like we're coming up with something completely new because now I'm in this FTE program. And we won't get super far into this today, but once we settle on how we're going to employ the disciplines as leaders and as supporters of Wesley, then we can move into instituting the framework. So you don't have to read through this right now. I know there's a lot of words on here, but if you just want to pass those around, you can read that at your own leisure. We can throw it on the website or a link to it in the Friday update. But this is the Discern Together framework, which if you read it, you will notice it does spell discern, because why wouldn't it? So we'll be talking over the next 18 months about how do we discover, invite, sense, cultivate, explore, reflect, and ultimately nurture students in their discernment. All right, I've been talking for a minute, so I'm going to give you a second to think to yourself, what is one thing in the world that breaks your heart regarding the emerging adults you work with or that you are friends with as you all discern important life decisions? When we talk about the generations that we're working with, especially for youth and for the youth group in Wesley here at Oxford United Methodist Church, we're entrusted to help them with their discernment. And as I promised, this is the super nerdy brain sciencey stuff about where the practice of discernment intersects with where emerging adults are in their neurodevelopment, and then some of the things that they are facing. And I'm sorry I couldn't break this up, so I'm just going to go through each of these a little bit. So first, they're dealing with digital identity exploration, With this increasing influence of social media and digital platforms, emerging adults are now exploring their identities not just in physical spaces, like we're all here having lunch together, but also in virtual ones. This includes curating online personas, engaging in digital communities, and navigating the complexities of digital privacy and authenticity. And I can speak for myself, like that privacy piece is also really hard because I grew up, like I was on the very forefront of Facebook, right? And so how I engage with Facebook has changed over the last couple of decades. And I always think my security settings are higher than they actually are. And then somebody finds me and I'm like, oh, dang it, I didn't get it right. Economic pressures and career instability. We sort of just touched on this in what breaks our heart. Economic challenges such as inflation and job market fluctuations have intensified. Many emerging adults face greater financial instability. I also fit right into this. Leading to prolonged periods of career exploration and job hopping. If you want to see my resume, I'll show it to you. You'll be like, girl, what's going on? The gig economy and remote work opportunities have also become more prevalent, offering both flexibility but also a lot of uncertainty. One of the things that I think has some really good benefits to it is the mental health awareness. There is a growing recognition of the importance of mental health during emerging adulthood, especially. Increased awareness and destigmatization of mental health issues have led to more emerging adults seeking therapy, counseling, and mindfulness practices to navigate this transitional period. I can speak from experience. There has not been a semester yet that I have not physically offered to take someone either to student counseling services, driving them to be admitted, sitting with them in an ER, or referring them to someone else. This is something I just expect as part of my ministry and my work. So if you ever like, I just can't make that call, or I really want somebody to go sit in the waiting room so I have somebody to talk to after my first therapy appointment, always happy to do that. Environmental and social consciousness. Emerging adults are now more environmentally and socially conscious, thank goodness. Climate change, social justice movements, and global crises have influenced their values. I'll say our values because I fit into this, and career choices. Many are seeking meaningful work that aligns with their ethical beliefs and contributes to positive societal change. Extended adolescence and delayed milestones. Traditional milestones such as marriage, home ownership, I own a house, and starting a family are being delayed even further. Emerging adults are prioritizing personal growth, I do have a doctorate, education, and career development before committing to these long-term responsibilities. I feel like I'm the poster child for that. Interconnectedness and global perspective. Advances in technology and increased global connectivity have given emerging adults a broader perspective on the world. They're more likely to engage in cross-cultural exchanges, travel, and global collaborations, fostering a sense of interconnectedness and global citizenship. And pertinent for us here, as we are just a block or two off of Miami University's campus, their educational shifts. The landscape of higher education, as many of you know, all of you know, is changing, with more emphasis on online learning, vocational training, and lifelong learning. Emerging adults are exploring diverse educational pathways that offer flexibility and align with their evolving career goals. So, what does this all mean for discernment? Ready, go. So, during emerging adulthood, which means typically late teens through early to mid-20s, the brain is undergoing significant development. The prefrontal cortex of the brain is responsible for executive functions such as impulse control, decision-making, assessing risk, and making thoughtful decisions. And because this part of the brain is still developing, our job to design experiences that require critical thinking and problem-solving can improve executive function, aiding in better discernment and decision-making processes in the long run. And because our emerging adults are refining their ability to regulate emotions, designing experiences that promote mindfulness and emotional awareness can support this development. Emerging adulthood is marked by exploration in areas such as careers, relationships, and personal values. It's a time when young adults are forming their identities and worldviews. Designing experiences that require active reflection and decision-making helps young adults cohere, sense of self, and align actions with personal values and societal norms. If you ask the students who went on fall retreat, I think we did this pretty well. We had some activities where we looked at like how we spend our time in a week, and gave lots of time for reflection on that. Peers play a significant role during this period. Social contexts that encourage discussions around ethics, choices, and consequences can foster collaborative learning and mutual accountability. So when we're designing experiences, we want to provide opportunities for group discernment that reinforces ethics, choices, and consequences through peer reinforcement and shared experiences. That's why ministry here is not just one-on-ones with Pastor Katie whenever you want. Like, try and do group experiences, right? Because cognitive and ego complexity continue to evolve into adulthood, designing experiences that expose young adult discerners to diverse perspectives and challenging situations promotes higher order thinking and self-authorship. So part of the reason we do mission trips and service learning trips, and why I try and make sure that we have different volunteers coming in, is because I really don't actually want you all to hear just my voice the entire time you're in Wesley. I'd like you to get a diversity of views and opinions. And then past traumas or adverse childhood experiences can affect memory and perception. So designing restorative experiences can create positive memories and foster a broader understanding of one's past, promoting discernment and healthier decision making. So healing is all a part of this as well. So sorry to blow through that. It will be recorded. You can watch it again if you so choose. But being mindful of everyone's time. So then the handout you have some more information about the Discern Together framework. Because again, if we were looking at that circle, our church folks and volunteers and adults are working to design and collaborate what our youth group and our Wesley campus ministry looks like, and then the leaders are helping here. So this is where everyone's going to work a little bit in different ways, but the Discern Together framework is we want to discover what discernment experiences do we want to design, and I think some of them are already designed. I think the Thursday thing, Sunday lunch, fall retreat, like some of the framework is already there, but this will just, again, as I said, help strengthen this. We want to invite others to collaborate in designing and facilitating experiences. So this is really where I want some church members to help and be part of a team. So it's not just me brainstorming stuff. We want to sense what awakens presence. So I think we have some starting data points. What activities for our Wesley leaders, like what's drawing people? What do we feel like sort of flopped? And how do we lean in where we're really getting people? So then we can cultivate that sense of belonging among a community of fellow discerners, which will then allow us to explore meaning making of their ideas, wonderings, experiences, and vocational pursuits. This is also where I see things like retreats and trips being really helpful, reflecting on possibilities we can imagine emerging from their discernment, and then we can always help nurture next faithful steps for individuals and classes and groups and folks as they fly the nest and leave us. So hopefully this will. So, my friends, in conclusion, I should have put the youth group on Wesley really does need your help as members of Oxford United Methodist Church that support these ministries. What I'm hoping will come from this is that we can create a team to help discern how to integrate the discernment framework across all of our youth, young adult, and Wesley programs. As you know, that's what our capital campaign is about. And especially helping create maybe a sub team of the stewardship team and fundraising team so we can help build our supporter network so we can be sustainable after the FTE grant. So here's a picture. We all did have to practice our grant pitches, but this coming Thursday, I have the opportunity to give a virtual grant pitch to FTE because by being a part of this cohort, everyone in the cohort is eligible for up to $15,000 of grant money, which they want us to use, and there are some parameters around that. The grant money cannot be used to fund salaries. It can't be used to fund, like, we can't just like build an entire wing of the church, probably $15,000. And they don't want it to be just one event. Like, so if we wanted to do like a 3-day retreat that's going to cost $15,000, that's probably not going to be funded. But like I said, this is to help us experiment, and they even made that very clear. Like this, they know that not everything we do is going to be a wild success, but they want us to really experiment and have fun and figure out how we can weave the discernment framework into our programming for the benefit of as many people and young adults as possible. So again, I said I was going to say it a million times, but thank you, thank you, thank you for the time that you gave me. For those of you who stepped up and helped with like the Thursday thing and Sunday lunch and youth group while I was gone, because I got to go to Atlanta, and they put us through this discernment framework in sort of a short way. Like we did the whole like process in 4 hours. So I'm glad we get more time. But we were also in this beautiful location outside of Atlanta. So I took some time. This is the labyrinth that they had there made out of stone. So after we were dismissed, before I left town, I got to spend some time in the woods, just listening for where God was talking to me personally, which was just so beautiful. So let us pray the Lord's Prayer liturgy. This was written by Dr. Montague Williams, and I thought this was really beautiful. And I really think is the grounding of what I hope we are doing here at Wesley and at WUMC. So I will lead, and you all will be the people. Our Father,
our motherly and fatherly God,
our Creator,
God of our grandmothers, grandfathers, and the ancestors,
you are holy.
hallowed be your name.
May your kingdom come.
Reignite the fire of your revolution in us, O Lord, that we may build a beloved community here on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us what is needed to embrace your call upon our lives.
And forgive us our trespasses.
We confess that we have often trespassed and trampled over the land, lives and stories of others, and the very attempts to make our own what belongs to others.
Forgive us, Lord, as we forgive those who have done the same to us.
Help us embrace a community of mutual and transforming grace.
Help us recognize the incredible brokenness in ourselves and others.
Stir in us a passion for your healing in the world.
Help us know how and when to commit to particular communities.
Help us know when it is time to move to a different place.
Lead us through times of discernment,
Times of confusion,
times of wonder,
times of waiting,
times of doubt,
times of confidence,
times of pain,
times of joy,
times of searching,
times of
times of conversation.
times of action.
Lead us through these times to hear your voice.
Lead us through these times to hear the sound of the genuine in us.
For the kingdom is yours.
The beloved community is yours.
Yours is the power.
Yours is the glory forever and ever.
We trust you, Lord.
May you be glorified by our lives.
Amen. My highlighting didn't always work. That's beautiful. I just think that's really lovely. If you are a young adult between the ages of 18 and 30 years old and you would like to work with FTE, there is a retreat coming up September 24th to the 27th in Peachtree, Georgia. It is all, if you are nominated and or apply and get accepted, it is all expense paid. They will take care of your travel, your housing, everything. So if you are interested in doing something through FTE, I encourage you to check out their website. There are lots of different options. This just happens to be the one that's coming up soonest. And if you are interested and are of any age, in more of the art and science of vocational discernment, more of that brain neuroscience-y stuff, the course that I took leading up is available. It's online. This is the next time it is coming up, is April 13th to May 22nd. It's $100. And it's designed for ministry leaders and those who accompany young adults. So great for our leaders, for volunteers, for anyone who works on campus and interacts with students. It comes around every so often, so this won't be your only opportunity. But I do encourage you to check out FTE's offerings because it's a pretty cool organization. Thank you.